Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah.
فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم قل هاتوا برهانكم إن كنتم صادقين. Say, produce your proof if you talk the truth. Then Allah says further, قل هل عندكم من العلم فتخرجوه لنا إن تتبعوا إلا الظن وإن أنتم إلا تخرصون. And say, have you any knowledge which you can extract for us? You follow nothing but speculation, and you yourselves do nothing but guessing. So what we want to talk about today is how these two verses in the Quran, and there's many other verses also in the Quran, that promotes the idea of seeking knowledge. And later on we'll talk about how the Nabi Muhammad has inculcated this in his practice and in his teaching to help people that were even Bedouin Arabs to seek knowledge, and the importance of seeking knowledge within Islam. The other importance is that the knowledge that we seek in Islam should be knowledge that is beneficial to us. It's proven knowledge, it's factual, it's not based on speculation and on feelings. It's factual, one has to prove. Therefore the Quran says, when somebody argues with you, tell him, قُلْ هَاتُمْ بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. If you're really talking the truth, then produce your proof. Where did you get this from? Right? And this rule can be applied to any form of belief. Right? I always say that there is only one belief that one cannot contest, which is the belief that there is only one God. Everything else under the sun can be questioned. Right? Because this one belief that we have in Allah, it's not something that can be proven. It's something that is establishing one's faith in Allah. Okay? So it's a feeling that you have, and it's a feeling that comes through spiritual experience, through spiritual consciousness. So therefore people have a choice to believe or not. And we find often that people that make the choice not to believe is because they feel that they don't have enough information to prove the existence of Allah. But it's something that you can't prove. The very first word that was revealed to the Nabi Muhammad ﷺ was Iqra. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Read in the name of Allah who has created you. And this word read can be inflected in so many ways, more than 14 ways in the Arabic language. So read doesn't just mean to read a book, but it means to study, to seek in-depthly the meaning of something, to proclaim that which you have learned, and to live that which you have learned. So it's a very expanded meaning of Iqra. So when this first word Iqra was revealed, it's a very powerful statement that Jibreel made to the Nabi Muhammad to repeat. So much so powerful that he was confused. What was Jibreel trying to say to him? Was it just to repeat what he's saying? Was he supposed to go out and deliver this message? And it's only when the Nabi went home, broken out into a fever, lying on his bed, that he's realized that I'm being called to do something big. That I'm not just called to be repeating what Jibreel is going to be revealing to me, I have a message also that I have to deliver. And so the same way, when we as Muslims seek knowledge, it's not just because to enrich us so that we can have a PhD or we know how to do this and that, but there's a certain amount of responsibility that comes with it. Therefore the Nabi ﷺ said, even if you have learned only as much as alif, then teach it. Because it's also about the flow of knowledge. That when we receive knowledge, in order for us to receive more, we have to give knowledge. Imagine you have a cup of knowledge, and this knowledge you just fill all the time. You're not going to be receiving more unless you give off of that knowledge. And there's huge amounts of rewards in teaching what we have learned. Even the Nabi ﷺ said one day to a Sahaba who wanted to get married, and he didn't have enough money to pay the dowry. So the Prophet said, do you at least have a date that you could give to your wife? He said, I don't even have a date. So the Prophet said, how much of the Quran have you learned? So he said, about 10 surahs. So the Prophet said, then teach that to her. So even to that extent, that if you don't have money to get married, teaching can be done in place of that. In Islam, there's no place for blind following, for personality following. For example, we find a lot of times that Muslims rely on the imams, they rely on the sheikhs and on the maulanas. These sheikhs and maulanas and imams are there because they have a particular purpose, they have a particular role to play within society, but still for us as the individual, because the Quran speaks to all of us, it is our responsibility to make sure that the information that we take in is reliable and it's proven, it's sidq, it's reliable. So then the imam just becomes the person who imparts the knowledge or to guide you, because obviously he knows more of religious knowledge than we do. As the Quran says that we will be brought to account for the knowledge that we have accepted as truth. The Quran says, وَلَا تَقِفُوا مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. And never rest on something and accept it as the truth, because and accept it as the truth when you have no knowledge about it. For verily the hearing, the sight and the heart, all of them, the Quran says, on the day of judgment will have to account for what it has taken in. So it's a huge responsibility that when we take the knowledge, to question it, to make sure that it comes from a good source, and to make sure most of all that the knowledge that we gain leads us closer to Allah consciousness. It's very easy to decide. If it's knowledge that it's teaching me something haram, or it's teaching me something that just pleases the hawa, the desires, then it's something that leads you away from Allah. So which brings us to the other point, is that, is it only religious knowledge that we have to learn? No. The Quran says any kind of knowledge that enriches us, because all knowledge is from Allah. We have to seek. For example, if you're sick, you have a problem with your liver, you're not going to go to the imam. The imam's not going to solve your problem. You go to the doctor. If you want to build a house, you will consult a building contractor, for example. So different people have different kinds of knowledge. And so it doesn't just mean that religious knowledge is the only knowledge that we need to seek. Also, the Nabi Muhammad said, or in fact he insinuated, that knowledge is not just something that we seek from Muslims. For example, before the Nabi Muhammad embraced Islam, or started the journey of Islam, he was already told by Waraqah bin Nawfal, who was an uncle of his wife Khadija, that he was going to be a prophet. So where did Waraqah bin Nawfal, who was a Christian, receive this knowledge from? So it doesn't just mean that it's Muslims that are enlightened. There are many enlightened people. So we do not judge where the knowledge is coming from, but we judge the knowledge, whether it is good for us and whether it will enrich us. So it is important even for our spiritual growth not to separate the sciences from the sciences that are on the horizon from religious knowledge. Both of them are important. And also very important that when we receive knowledge, not to conclude that this is the truth. Because things change, the world change, people change, concepts change as we grow as a human race. So always keep an open mind. And a person that keeps an open mind is teachable. A person that has a closed mind, he believes that what I believe is the truth. And there's no such a thing. We constantly learn, we constantly grow, things change. And then the Quran says, do not say I believe and think that you will not be tested. So whenever we adopt a belief, automatically we are tested on that belief. So it's better for you not to conclude about something, because you're going to be tested about it. There's also the saying that says ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is not bliss in Islam. Ignorance has led many of us to become judgmental, to become selfish, self-righteous, arrogant about what we know, thinking that our way is only the right way. So in Islam, ignorance is frowned upon, and it is even stated that the inmates of Jahannam are the ignorant ones, those who did not want to follow the path of knowledge and the path of wisdom. So we ask Allah that we do not become of those who are ignorant, but of those who constantly seek knowledge. The Quran also says that the ignorant can never be compared to those who have knowledge. هَلْ يَسْتَوِيَ الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Can you compare those who have knowledge with those who don't? Allah also says, and Allah has brought you out from the wombs of your mothers while you knew nothing. And He gave you hearing and sight, and He gave you hearts so that you may give thanks. So because of this also, it is important that we use the faculties of sight and hearing and heart in the seeking of knowledge. That we don't just accept what somebody says or what a personality says, but we are involved in the learning. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن الكريم ونفعنا إياكم بالآيات وذكر الحكيم إنه جواد ملك بر رب رؤوف رحيم. May Allah bless me and you through the guidance of this noble Quran, and may its teachings and remembrances benefit me and you. Truly Allah is the possessor of wealth, the sovereign, the all-good, the one who has authority over us, the all-loving, the all. The Nabi Muhammad also said many things to encourage us to seek knowledge. For example, Nabi said, "Utlub al-ilm walau hatta fi sin." That seek knowledge even if you have to go as far as China. Now that time in 7th century Arabia, China was a distance, because we didn't fly to China. The acquisition of knowledge is compulsory for every Muslim, male and female. طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم ومسلمة. It is farad, it is compulsory to seek knowledge. The ink of a scholar is more sacred than the blood of a martyr. So it's better for you, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, to sit and study something than to want to go and perform jihad. Seeking knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Right? So knowledge in Islam is a constant learning. It's a constant engagement with. And the best form of worship, the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, is the pursuing of knowledge. So if you think that, our 5 daily prayers and our extra prayers that we make is what brings us closer to Allah, it is also knowledge. Gaining knowledge brings us closer to Allah. Someone asked the Prophet once, who is the biggest scholar? So he replied, he who is constantly trying to learn from others. For a scholar is ever hungry for more knowledge. Right? So again, it's also taking the arrogance away from having received knowledge. A scholar must always be open, or a learned person must always be open to learn more. Seek knowledge and wisdom, or whatever the vessel from which it flows, you will never be a loser. So again, it's taking the personality away, but looking at the vessel from which the knowledge is flowing and accepting that. Contemplating deep for an hour with sincerity is better than 70 years of worship. So even just sitting and contemplating over something, it's better than 70 years of worship. And there is a whole list of other things that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also said. But one of the most beautiful sayings that he said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, around seeking knowledge is, "Man salaka tariqan yaltamisu fiha ilman, sahlaka Allahu lahu tariqan ila al-jannah." He said that he who sets out a path seeking knowledge, Allah will make a path open for him towards Jannah. And a beautiful prayer around knowledge that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam also have taught us is, Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna bima yanfa'una wa na'udhu billahi min ahli ad-dhalal bi rahmatihi wa huwa arhamur rahimin. Oh Allah, we ask you to make the knowledge that you have made available beneficial for us. And only grant us knowledge that will grow us, and we seek refuge for you from you against the ignorant. through your blessings and your mercy, O you, the most merciful of those who show mercy. So beautiful dua to recite when you learn something and you're not sure, is this something that is going to be beneficial to me? It's to make that dua. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد اللهم انصر المجاهدين في كل مكان اللهم يسر ولا تعسر اللهم تمم بالخير وأنت الكريم الميسر. O Allah, assist those who assist the cause of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. O Allah, assist all those who strive toward good in every place. O Allah, make things easy for us and remove difficulty from us. O Allah, complete us in goodness, for truly you are the most noble of those who provide assistance. ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة لقوم الظالمين ونجينا برحمتك من القوم الكافرين. And O our sustainer, do not let us become a trial to those who are misguided, and give us victory by your mercy over those who deny the truth.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an